What's going on, everybody? My name is Gregandcin, and this is the HMD, or as I like to call it, the hand-me-down PC. This is a PC built out of almost completely used parts, and both from parts of mine that I'm not using anymore, and parts that I got off the internet, and we're going to discuss why I built this system. But first, let's get into the specs, because this is a pretty weird machine, I'd have to say. So as I'm taking this thing apart, I will tell you that this is using my old personal 2500K chip. This is a Mini-ITX PC though, so I can't use my old motherboard, my old Asus Z68 motherboard, I believe it was, Z67, something like that. So instead, we are rocking a nice Intel motherboard. Yes, you heard me correctly, Intel. The motherboard we are exactly using is the Intel TX650W Mini-ITX socket. It is an H67 motherboard, and I got this off eBay. This was the cheapest motherboard that I could find that was Mini-ITX socket 1155, and it had a singular PCI Express slot. It also takes full-size RAM, which a lot of other motherboards didn't in my price range. They would be taking SODIMMs, or they would take full-size RAM, and if we can get this thing open. Instead of taking full-size RAM, a lot would take SODIMM, and I don't have any SODIMM laptop memory lying around, nor did I want to pay for any, and if they did take full-size RAM, a lot of them just didn't have a full-size PCI Express slot, which is something that I absolutely needed for this build. I will let you guys know that this is built in a Silverstone SG13B. It is one of their Mini-ITX cases. It's pretty cheap. I'll let you guys know all the prices later, but it's a nice little enclosure, but I kind of messed up a little bit. Also inside this system is this power supply. This is a Corsair TX650. It is a really nice power supply. I got it really cheap off of Reddit, along with another parts, but I want to get to that one later. I just think it's really important that I clarify that you should not get a power supply that is this big. If you can see, it is touching the this hard drive bay, which is a problem when you need to actually insert the hard drives. Powering the graphics processing of this system is, of course, the old GTX 1050 that I got for $70. You can see a video that I have over here that talks about the subject, and it should also give you a decent idea of how the system will perform. Granted, this does have less RAM, but we'll get to that in just a second. This is the perfect graphics card for this system, just because the price point of everything, the performance of the 2500K in modern games, and the fact that I really just don't have any more room inside the system. You can already see it kind of popping out, so I'll just mention it real quick. This is just a random SanDisk 256GB SSD. I can't mount it to the bottom because of that power supply as well. The SATA cables are flipped the opposite way, so I can't plug that in without damaging the SSD potentially if it's screwed into the bottom, so I have to let it just hang freely. The actual hard drive that's inside the cage is a 3.5-inch Western Digital Caviar Blue. It is 160GB. I bought it for a different project back in the day. I never ended up actually using it for what it was initially intended for. It was just kind of laying in my rig, unplugged, not used for anything. Inside, which you can also not really see, is 8GB of Corsair XM3 RAM. This is just bog standard 1333 DDR3. I can't push the RAM any farther because the motherboard chipset does not allow any sort of overclocking from Intel. The H67 series just kind of locked down everything. And yeah, and if you couldn't tell, this system it's weird. That's what I get for buying a whole bunch of used parts and hoping for something that would work out. There's so many cables in this system. It's probably a fire hazard. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's messy. It's just messy. I don't like it. Building inside this thing was an absolute pain because of the power supply. That's the biggest downfall of this system. I bought both the SSD and the power supply inside the system from a guy on eBay, not eBay, Reddit. This was a Reddit buy. He gave me a really good price on it though, and I didn't think to look at the size of the power supply before I bought it, so that was my fault. If you are going to be building in this case, I definitely recommend getting a slightly shorter power supply. I believe the Corsair CX series, the gray label versions, should fit inside the system pretty well. 450 watt would have been perfect for this. I would have been spending like $5 more, and honestly I should have, just because it would have made the experience so much better, and it maybe would have increased airflow as well. You also may have noticed that I did not mention that I have any sort of specific CPU cooler, because I'm using the stock Intel heatsink. In my testing, I don't know if this is because of a lack of thermal paste on my part, or if it's just because this cooler cannot handle the CPU. It was running idle at like 50 to 60 degrees, and that's kind of scary for me. I don't have enough money to put another like cooler in there right now, so that is definitely one of the things that I will be doing whenever I get the chance. Now you're probably wondering, why did I build this system? Why am I building such a middle of the road, like maybe like really budget tier system? Why did you make all these compromises? There's not even a lot of storage. There's less than 500 gigs of storage on this thing, and that's because this is for my brother. This is my younger brother. Every time I was over for like the summer, he would want to just play on my PC a lot. He wanted to play like Team Fortress and Minecraft and all that. My phone went off. He wanted to play Minecraft, Team Fortress, stuff like that on my computer all the time, and I was, one, sick of him playing on my computer, and two, I realized that he enjoyed it a lot, so I've been planning for months just to get a system like this happening, and that coincided with the upgrade of Craig. So the HMD, the hand-me-down PC, is what's going to be going in our little like den area where he plays his games. I'm going to shove this in there. He actually helped me build this system. I don't have any footage. I did have to bring this back home to do some stuff for like a week or two, but it's finished now. Along with this initial system, I did end up going to Goodwill and found like a $6 keyboard and mouse combo. It'll work for him. He's playing Team Fortress 2 and maybe like Fortnite or something. Like, he's not going to be playing CSGO in, like, the top levels. And if he wants to, my parents can buy him another mouse or something. Or anything like that. Who knows? He's probably going to be playing with his controller a lot, too. Because he plays on his Xbox a lot, you know. But, yeah, this was something that was in the works for a while. I definitely don't recommend buying this system as is. If you were to buy a similarly spec system, if you were able to find a $70 graphics card and get a nice deal on a power supply. Overall, the system cost me around like $400. I really don't know how much better you could do for $400. I feel like you could potentially do better. You could find like a Xeon processor, maybe just, I don't think there's a lot you can do in the budget range with Mini-ITX at this level. At least with this system, I think really like the newer AMD APUs would be a better fit for a Mini-ITX system, just because you're definitely losing out on graphics performance. Don't get me wrong. The 1050 will do better than whatever integrated graphics is on. The AMD Athlons or like the 2200G, anything like that. But overall, I'm really happy with this. I think this was a fun little experiment. It was a fun little bonding moment when we actually got to build it. He didn't get to put the graphics card in himself because I left that up here in my dorm. It went before I like went and grabbed all the parts and we built it together. But yeah, I really like this thing. It makes me happy. I think he's happy. Just being able to like do stuff with me, you know. Leave a like if you liked the video, leave a dislike if you disliked it. I know this was all over the place, but I really just wanted to talk about this. It made me happy. This wasn't too prepared because I'm literally driving back home to give him this and do some other personal things. Oh god, my wrist hurts. This thing's heavy, by the way. If you want to see any more of my content, hit the face. It'll be somewhere over here. Check out one of the videos on the side. Want to be one I recommend to you, want to be one YouTube recommends to you. Check out my links down below for everything I do on the internet. If you want to see more videos where I just talk about used hardware and everything else like that, please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. My name is gregandcin, and man, my wallet kind of hurts right now.